coolly proceeded to deal with all of these things, never giving me any indication of desperation or having had enough of me. And to the rest of the crew, Charles Seaton, Joe Carline, Eileen Afric, Dennis Dilmagani, I thank you for being there for me. I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have friends like you. To Adam, Noah, and Caitlin from the Rye Art Center, your help and support of this exhibition is very much appreciated. I also must praise my mentor, where is he? There he is, Chuck Keogh, a fine art photographic printer. Chuck, you've taught me so much. The decades of support you have shown me will never be forgotten. I'd like to just mention what art means to me. In thinking about art and what it means to me, I realize it's been the foundation that I have built my life on. It encompasses creativity and has spawned many paths. Creative ideas, sounds, thinking, sculpture, painting, composing, designing. Art has given me infinite hours of pleasure, the joy of discovery, and the means of expressing myself. Art is a special voice which I use for communication, a rare energy that forever stirs within me. Art is a through line in the relationship I have developed throughout my life. It's been a special force that has built a strong camaraderie between me and a host of dear friends all over the world, from my early youth to this very day. Art provides a shared devotion and bonding with another person that can share your energy and is ever present and directs one's every action. My legacy and impact and how art touched others in my life and in my family. My interest and pursuit of art has always been the prime force in so many relationships throughout my life. With Judy, my deceased ex-wife, and 30 storybook years with Doris Cadu, an angel who left us in 2017. Always supporting and applauding my creative thrust. There were a host of other partners during my bachelorhood, after a divorce and before Doris. Some artists, some musicians, all creative souls and dedicated supporters. My art has also influenced my family. My children, Jill and Jonathan, were born into a household of two creative parents, always exposed to the art projects and creative adventures that Judy and I pursued. And very early on, they followed on their own creative paths. My daughter Jill, an internationally acclaimed jewelry designer and book designer with degrees in art and design from Cornell and Pratt Institute, started on her creative path at a very early age. And my son Jonathan, an inherent adventurer and explorer, was influenced by the household energy and followed his own creative footsteps into the world of medicine and computer science. He has been a stalwart supporter of my work and is a fine photographer in his own right. I'd like to share with you a revelation about artists that came to mind recently. Artists often seem to foretell or create future trends. They have learned to look at things and actually see what they are viewing. They aren't influenced intellectually by what they view before them. They may be viewing a sculpture made of white plaster. They know that it's white, but an artist views what is actually before them and sees the many colors that are being reflected on the surface of this white object, reflections cast by colorful surroundings. Artists are often eccentric and unconventional. They refuse to accept the traditional. They create new paths to follow. It isn't that they're superior or smarter than traditional folks, just more observant. This is true of scientists as well, also leaders in other fields. The creative mind thinks out of the box. When one is 91 years old, as I am, it must be natural, as it is with me, to reflect on the past, to review the 91 years that resulted in the person that you are today. I've been very fortunate. Sure, there were many bumps in the road, tough times, but luckily I'm an inveterate optimist, and I have unlimited interests. From youth until the present day, I never followed tradition. I love discovery and adventure and wandering into strange environments, experiencing new worlds. I'll never forget my summer bicycling with two of my cousins through Europe in 1948, 3 years after the Second World War. Few Americans traveled there at that time. Europe was still suffering the devastation of the Nazi air raids. Bombing rubble still lay in the streets of London. Centers of cities in Holland had vanished as a result of unrelenting evening forays from the Nazi Luftwaffe. That summer was a transforming experience for this 18-year-old, just having graduated from high school and looking forward to entering New York University upon his return to the States in the fall. In spite of all the destruction, Europe held a special charm for me. I resonated to its vibes, the individual customs and manners of each country. Today, this has vanished with the homogenization that exists in much of our world today. These days led the groundwork for a wanderlust within me that has never ceased. Scores of trips to Europe, my years as a board member of the Jane Goodall Institute, traveling with Jane throughout Africa and throughout the world, extensive travel on 6 of our 7 continents throughout the years was a blessing for me. These are the experiences that stirred my soul and afforded me the opportunity to photograph and experience the wonders of the world. I was born in 1930 in the shadow of one world war on the heels of another, at a time when immigrants from many countries were struggling to find their way in New York City, when professions were chosen for a livelihood and not passion, when survival and comfort were far less guaranteed. Harkening back to that era, many might think that art was an indulgence or an eccentricity in a country and a world where people struggled for definition and opportunity, a world where new inventions such as Scotch tape and sliced bread had not yet celebrated their 3rd birthday. But in my wide eyes, art was an essential. And in the midst of this struggle, through many trying times of the Great Depression, fearful times of the Holocaust and World War II, the upheaval of the 1960s, and the birth of the new era of wonder, there were some who made art. Whether it was to salvage hope, create an escape, or express their inner feelings and leave a lasting physical mark during these difficult moments we all were living through, we never stopped creating. And in a world of tailors, merchants, doctors, and lawyers, I chose to get lost into this beautiful, beautiful world of design, colors, shapes, shades, and dreams that sometimes look inconsequential. But when you zoom out and squint your eyes, somehow it transformed into something different altogether. It assumed meaning and revealed nature and the divinity within it. Somehow, I've never lost that wonder in my 91 years on this earth, and I never will. The capacity for this wonderment still exists, and I hope you'll indulge me in it this evening and find a path for yourselves into this magical world also. Thank you all so much for being here and sharing this evening with me. Truly a highlight that I'll never forget.
Thanks again, everybody. We're still open for another hour, so feel free to hang out and chit-chat. Go with Hal. There is a guest book over there. We'd love it for you if you would maybe put a few words in there. You know, you don't need to put your email or phone number. We won't bother you. Just a couple of sentences to let Hal know how you feel. Thank you. I don't know. You have to ask him how.